All right, good evening, everyone. We're going to call to order this regular board meeting for Caledonia Community Schools, December 16th. If you all rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items. If you are here for public comment does tend to creep up pretty fast. We do ask that you fill out one of these cards. It does ask for contact information. This is a meeting of the board that's held in public, so there's not a back and forth with public. If you do have a question or things that need follow-up, that will come from an appropriate administrator after the meeting in the near future. So if you'd please fill one of those out and get it back in the back corner of the room to Kelly Clark, she will get those up here to us. All right, could we please have roll call?
Yes. Barbara Garcia here, Brando,
Here.
Isich, Morris,
Here.
Nichols, Sadu,
Here.
White.
Here, just as a note for other board members, I did receive a message from Jennifer Nichols who stated something came up with a child that she needed to be at with. And Katie is still dealing with sickness and fevers in their house, so we hope they are all well soon. We are going to move on to recognition.
Thank you. Wanna go or want me to?
You go first.
Oh, perfect, alright. So we just wanted to take a moment on behalf of the entire Board of Education for the Caledonia Community Schools to thank both our board president, Marcy White, and our board treasurer, Jason Sadu, for their excellent and numerous years of service to Caledonia Community Schools as board members. As many of you probably know, Marcy has been serving on the Board of Education for 14 years, and Jason has been serving for 6 years. So you have a combined 20 years of board experience sitting up here just in two individuals, and I'm very mindful of not only the institutional memory you hold and all of the leadership and mentorship you've shown all of us, but also the guidance with skill and with dedication, with transparency, with communication to all that has really been a guiding force for all of us here on the board. So we've put together a gift from the rest of the Board of Education, and I'm happy to let everyone speak if they would like, but I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of all of us to really thank you for your mentorship, for your service, for your dedication, for bettering the education of all students in our district, for thinking of all families in our district, and for being really mindful that that's what we're here to do every day. So thank you for that always. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I can't say that it's not emotional. I didn't think it'd be emotional, really. It has been a long time. It has been a complete blessing to work with all of you and to serve alongside each one of you on multiple occasions for some. So I do appreciate that. It has just, we've given a lot of our time, both Jason and I have, through many things. My kids, I asked them, I said, what are some of the things that I've done over the last, years where you were in school and here? And they started listing off ridiculous things. I'm like, okay, these things are not things we're putting down, so. But it has been time. My kids there was a lot of things I missed out on over the years to make sure that this became my priority. And it was worth every minute of it. So I just want to say thank you, because without all of you, this would not have been here. So it has been a great experience. So thank you very much, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Thank you for being here to support us all the way along, and I will continue to stay involved in whatever ways that I can on the other side of this. So thank you.
That's why she's the president. So I can echo a lot of what she said, but it's been a great 6 years. It's been challenging in a lot of ways, and it's been rewarding in a lot of ways. Made some great friendships and relationships along the board table here, along with the staff and other people that I've gotten to know. So I wouldn't have traded the last 6 years for anything. And looking forward to seeing my oldest kid go off to college. Well, not looking forward to, but it's coming whether I want to, but going off to college next year. And the youngest one a couple years after that. So turn this over to a new generation that I know will, keep us going. So, thanks.
So as Brittany grabs these things for these two, I just wanted to list off a few of the things. So we're gonna start with Jason. So as Jason mentioned, he and his wife Crystal, they've got a senior and a sophomore who are involved in choir, dance, theater, and a whole bunch of other things during their time in middle school and high school. And so here's some of the things Jason's done. He's been a key communicator. He was on the participant in the interview process for Dr. Martin. He's done fundraising, helped build a replacement playset out at Kettle Lake for their playground. He's been a watchdog out there, a Calapalooza volunteer, a March reader in the classroom, a youth sports coach, helped start and fund the Caledonia dance team as a club sport, raise money for the choir program, fundraising efforts through Butcher Block Social. Worked in concessions, volunteering, and then you've been vice president and treasurer of the board. And I just have to say, Jason, too, I appreciate that you make lots of motions, so that's always nice. You're always willing to read the long lists, and that's always a challenge. But I'm really, just really grateful that you're so driven to make things better, and that you provide your perspective on a number of topics, and you're always trying to think ahead to the next things and asking questions, and that's really helpful because it's, like they always say, the iron sharpens iron, and the questions are important, and for us to be able to get to the best possible thing that we can be as a school organization. So I really appreciate and just thank you for that opportunity to work with you here for the last year and a half now. So. And then Marcy, you've got a similar list, and so these are some of the things that I know your kids were probably talking about. You're a classroom volunteer, a book fair coordinator, a junior achievement instructor, volunteer at Career Day, a student mentor at Craft Meadows. You've been on the PTO at various buildings. You were 6th grade camp nurse, which that was probably one of the bigger challenges. Key communicator, sports rep for Athletic Boosters. You've managed concessions. You've coordinated family tailgates. You've been on the senior all-night party committee, bond project, growth committees. You parent, and also we look forward to seeing you soon as a grandparent. And then, this time on the board where you've been vice president and president since 2017. And as you mentioned, the last time I was here, you were president, and appreciated your support at that time. And that's what was a big part of me, courage to come back again. So, and with the board too, the road cleanup work, the concession stand work night, all those sorts of things. So, public may not always know, but the board and superintendent and our relationship, we try to work together as a team on things. And for me as a superintendent, the first person you go to is the president. And, I've worked with a few through the years, but I just have to say, Marcy, our relationship's been fabulous, and I really appreciate your straightforwardness and your thinking of all, again, different sides of issues and where a whole variety of folks would be coming from. And that perspective's been very helpful, and just really cherished our time together. So hate to see you go, but we know there'll be great things ahead for you too. So
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
I just want to say a few words here too, if I may. It's been a great time, interesting time serving with both of you. Marcy, you've been the longest serving president as long as I've been a board member, and that's 12 years. And thank you for your 14 and 6 years service to both of you. We've had a lot on the table. We've been through a lot. We've seen a number of bonds. We've seen a number of contract negotiations. We've seen some resignations. But nonetheless, you're still friends, and we're serving the community the best we can, right? And I want to thank you for that.
Thank you, Tim. We good? Everybody good? All right, thank you. All right, we are going to move forward with board business. So before we get to there, we are going to start with our student representative. We have Erin, Rebecca. Okay, there we go. I spent so much time thinking about it. So your replacement coming in that you will introduce to everybody, and we welcome both of you. Thank you for being here.
Yes, so thank you too, first of all, for all that you have done for the community. So Nirveta Kumar will be your new student representative for the rest of the year after this. So yeah, that'll be that. So in late October, our music department had an incredible opportunity to travel to Ann Arbor to witness a performance by the Berlin Philharmonic. The department staff enjoys working together to provide unique educational experiences for all of the dedicated students. With 130 students and 30 chaperones in attendance, this event was truly memorable. In addition, our CHS choir is performing tonight at 7, as well as our band performing tomorrow at 7. The Student Council is running our annual Adopt a Family Drive. The school is helping 13 local families in need, providing food, clothing, and personal care. These donations will be picked up Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week. The theme for capturing kids' hearts this month is community, so it has been a great way to bring the community of the high school together to help struggling families during the holidays. And this year, we have received more donations than the last, so it was great to see all of them. And yeah, Nirveta's here, and have a Merry Christmas, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Merry Christmas to you. You are welcome to stay, we'd love to have you stay, but we do understand if you have other things that are of interest to you tonight, so thank you. At this time, we're gonna move into our public comment. If you didn't get that card turned in, I ask that you have it turned in now to Kelly Clark in the back of the room. Otherwise, we have first up is Jet. You do have 3 minutes to speak to the board as a whole, followed by Bob and then Katie.
Thank you very much for hearing me and everyone else tonight. My name is Jet Black. I'm a senior at Caledonia High School, and I'm here tonight to bring to your attention an issue taking place at our high school with the virtual learning program. For context, I started with the virtual program this semester. I found it to be very helpful with pacing myself, but unfortunately this past week, Friday, December 13th, I was informed that I would be required to stop taking school this way and return in person because I was not meeting the attendance policy. Unfortunately, and the reason that I'm here today is that this policy that requires you to be there for 6 hours per week was not taking into account the fact that I have gone in on Thursdays. Thursday was canceled because of inclement weather, and unfortunately I wasn't able to fulfill my duties that week. And the next day I was informed that I was no longer able to do this program. It was not what I wanted to hear, and I definitely wanted to find a solution. So I have reached out to the director of the virtual learning program, my counselor, as well as the principal, and have not been able to come to a solution, which is why I'm here tonight. I feel that I've exhausted the rest of my options. I think of myself as kind of a model student. That's what I try to be. I've maintained good behavior and good grades through the virtual program. Current weighted GPA of 4.17. I have no issues with my academics. Simply this one issue with the snow day has caused me to unfortunately be pushed back to either in person, or I was informed that if I would like to continue online learning, that I would have to transfer to a different school. This isn't what I want. I feel that this way of learning has been, this is my style of learning. It's been the most successful semester of my high school career up to this point. And so I felt it necessary to come here and speak to you guys today, inform you guys of this issue, because this isn't something I want to lose, and it isn't something I would want other people to have to face either. So thank you guys very much. That's all.
Thank you. Next we have Bob, followed by Katie.
I'll just pass, that's okay.
Okay, you sure?
Yep, I'll bring it up at a later date.
Okay, all right, thank you. Katie?
Hello. I'm here on behalf of the Caledonia Education Association. With only a few short weeks of school in the month of December, our teachers and students have been hard at work. Not only have our students continued rocking it with mid-year benchmark assessments, such as Acadience and iReady, but they've also had time to add in holiday activities that have brought a lot of joy into our schools. From dress-up days to selling candy grams to benefit a peer-to-peer group, There is a joyful spirit alive in Caledonia schools. I'd also like to take a moment to brag about our hardworking educators at Caledonia Elementary. Caledonia Elementary not only acquired all of our Young 5 classrooms this year, but they have also had the privilege of becoming the new home to a new elementary autism program. They've shifted and adjusted to new staff, moving classrooms, and changing processes. We have 23 CEA educators working hard in Caledonia Elementary each day, and we are thrilled to hear that Cal El was just listed as a top 25 elementary school in the state of Michigan. We are very thankful to all of our CEA teachers that worked hard to help put in the many Christmas and holiday concerts over the last few weeks. The talent being fostered in our Caledonia Music Department is absolutely beautiful. And in fact, my daughter's kindergarten class got to walk over today and watch the concert practice, and she came back and said, "It was beautiful, they're the best singers in the world." And she listens to Taylor Swift, so that's a compliment. Caledonia staff everywhere are looking forward to our annual tradition of raising funds for senior scholarships by wearing comfy attire the week we return from holiday break. This Comfy Clothes Week will run from January 6th to January 10th, and all staff are invited to participate. All funds raised will go directly into scholarships for our seniors. As with any contract, our current Caledonia teachers' 3-year contract will expire on July 31st of this year. Our CEA members are currently voting on a bargaining team to represent our Caledonia bargaining unit this spring. We look forward to the future and anticipate many productive and respectful conversations this spring. Lastly, we'd like to echo our sentiments spoken in November and again earlier in the meeting, and thank Marcy White and Jason Sadio for their years of dedication serving our community on the Board of Education. With that, we wish our entire staff, our community, our students, our neighbors, a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season. We look forward to the brighter year ahead in 2025. May you all have a healthy and fulfilling winter break. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to all of you, and I hope you all have a restful break. You need it at this point, I'm sure, so. All right, we are going to move forward to our consent agenda. We have November 13th, 2024 closed session minutes, November 18th, 2024 meeting minutes, December 11th, 2024 meeting minutes, November 2024 payables, and December 2024 personnel report.
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions, corrections, concerns with those? Okay, please have roll call.
Barbara Garcia, yes. Brando,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Sadhu,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. We will move to 8, which is superintendent report.
All right, we'll begin with a update on student achievement, so Dr. Diaz, come up.
Good evening, everyone. This is an update to the presentation that I provided to you all back during the Committee of the Whole in November. So much of this will look familiar. There are some updates that were made for tonight's meeting. So there might be a few changes, but we'll move through it relatively quickly since we have a choir concert that I know some people may want to get to this evening. So if you do have any questions, of course, feel free to ask either now, this evening, or at a later time. So just a reminder, the context behind test scores. We know that students are constantly assessed, whether it's verbal question and answer, whether it's just observations in the classroom, whether it's a small little exit ticket to check a particular concept, or our larger benchmark and state assessments. We use them for multiple reasons to try to help guide instruction, as well as to take a look back and see whether or not what we're doing is working to support all of our students at any particular age or grade level. We have different types of tests, norm referenced and criterion referenced. Again, norm referenced compares our students to other students in the same age group across either the state or even the country. And then criterion referenced have a particular predetermined criteria, and it's measuring students against that established criteria. So kind of themselves, measuring themselves against that criteria and not necessarily against other students. Proficiency is most often the way that we think about or hear about score reporting. So many students were proficient or met that proficiency. But another really important measure is growth, because particularly for our students who may be below proficiency, to be able to grow those students more quickly than a year's growth in a year's time is really important. So being able to kind of look at those growth pieces are also really important. So we'll be doing a little bit of that tonight as well. So iReady, we use iReady both in reading and in math for K-8 to look at benchmarking across the year. So we look at fall, winter, and spring scores. At some grade levels, there are additional pieces added at different times in the year. So you aren't necessarily taking the same assessment or looking at the same set of criteria across the year, but there's an expectation that we are learning new things. So it makes sense that we're testing new things. But just again, for context, we're not necessarily testing the exact same things fall, winter, spring. So take that into consideration. Starting with reading, looking between fall of 23 and spring of 24. So the growth that we see from kindergarten through 7th grade, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Those scores, again, are very strong and we feel good about the work that we're doing, but we also recognize that there are students that are not yet meeting standards, and so we want to continue to support those students and work to bring those proficiency levels up to the kindergarten level. So look at that, 95% of our kindergartners were meeting benchmark at the end of the year in spring of 24, so we'd love to see that level across the grades over time. As I mentioned before, looking at growth, when we look at the iReady scores, we have both what they call typical growth as well as stretch growth. So typical growth for a student is that year's growth in a year's time. Stretch growth is what we're looking for students to reach if we are pulling them either up from underneath proficiency, or for students who are at proficiency levels, how do we stretch them to even move beyond that grade level rather than just staying stagnant? So we look at both that typical and that stretch growth. So just kind of a little bit of a graphic to help you understand that a little bit more. The red line, solid horizontal line, is where you would want the typical growth to be, and then the dotted line is where they set the stretch growth targets for students. And again, depending on where they sit in terms of below grade level, on grade level, wherever they might be, those are always going to look a little bit different because they're set independently for each student individually. So when we look at reading, again, 23-24, the first bar, dark purple bar, is the percent of students that met their typical growth. The second light purple bar is the students that met their stretch growth. So the students that met stretch growth are included in the students that met typical growth, because in order to meet stretch growth, you have to meet your typical growth first. And then the yellow bar, the gold bar, is the number, or the percent of students, that actually improved their placement. And what I mean by that is in iReady, students are categorized across 5 different bands, and when they move across the year, the goal obviously is to improve their placement. So this is another way of looking at that data. At the beginning of the year in the fall, the first horizontal bar, we had 15% of our students in K through 4th grade who were mid or above grade level placement. By the end of the year, we had 65% of our students that were at mid or above grade level placement. So the goal is to get those 2 green bars to be higher percentages and the gold, pink, and red bars to be smaller percentages of students who are 1, 2, or 3 plus grade levels below. This is for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Same information in terms of meeting typical growth, stretch growth, and then improving their placement. And looking at it again in this format, making that shift to higher levels in the green bars and lower levels in the gold, pink, and red. We also use iReady, particularly our winter benchmark, to help us plan for support in the spring as students prepare for M-STEP. So specifically at third grade and above, we're looking at that light purple bar. That's our winter iReady benchmark. And we look at that as kind of a estimation or a projected proficiency on M-STEP. So we look at those students and where they are kind of falling in iReady, and then we create intervention groups and support for students who are not yet meeting that winter benchmark to try to help really fill in some of those gaps so that they can perform at a higher level when they do the M-STEP in the spring. So just a comparison of where they are with iReady, and then the final bar in each grouping is the M-STEP score in the spring. Switching to math, same data sets. So here's our spring scores across 21-22, 22-23, and 23-24. So we have really strong math scores. We actually adopted a new math curriculum in 2020-2021, and that is Ready Math, and we have seen really positive results across K-8 using those resources. This is the growth. Again, we look at typical growth, stretch growth, and then improved placement in math as well as reading. Looking at it from a different perspective. This is really exciting data when you're looking at this as you're looking back to see the growth that students have made. We had only 25% of our students on or above grade level at the beginning of the year, and we moved it to 81% of our students at or above grade level by the end of the year, and this is K4 altogether. So really some substantial movement for students in mathematics. This is 5th through 7th. Again, significant changes there, increasing in the green bars and reducing in the gold, pink, and red. This is the M-STEP comparison for math. So again, you're looking at that light purple bar, which is the winter benchmark, to estimate or project proficiency on M-STEP. And again, we use that winter score to help us define our groups for intervention support between winter and M-STEP testing. Switching to M-STEP. M-STEP is a state assessment, as you probably are all well aware, given annually across the grades. So looking at M-STEP reading, scores from 21-22, 22-23, and 23-24 from 3rd through 7th grade. A question was asked to add in the ISD comparisons when I did this presentation previously, so you will see that the ISD bars for 22, 23, and 23, 24 are added into the data set. We traditionally do outscore the ISD and the state. However, again, although we're very proud of the work that we've done and that we continue to do, we also know that we're missing a chunk of students and really want to continue to focus our efforts on bridging and building those skills across all of our students. This is an additional chart that I've added in that gives you a little bit of a different look at the data in terms of kind of the trends. So this is our ELA passing trends. And the I don't know if they're not dotted lines, but the line graph, the first one that you see that is not circled is the grade level trend. So different groups of students year over year, pretty steady until you get a little bit higher, and then you see some ebbs and flows. Again, those are year to year at a particular grade level, different groups of students. When you move over to the far right where the red oval is, that's cohort data. So same group of students across the grades. So you can see there are some that, go up and down, and it varies even in their performance with this when you're talking about the same group of students. So just a little bit of a different way to look at some of the data. Shifting to M-STEP math, again, scores over the years. Adding in that ISD comparison in mathematics, Scores are lower trending than in ELA, both at the state, the ISD, and within Caledonia. Again, recognizing that we're proud of the work that we're doing and what we've done, but recognizing that there are still groups of students that we are missing and want to continue that focus. This is the same added chart that I just went through, but this is for math. So again, the first line graph is different groups of students across multiple years at third grade and so on. The far right is cohort data, so same group of students over time. And then finally shifting to the higher levels, PSAT starting at 8th grade, and then in 10th and as well, 8th, 9th, and 10th, and then SAT data for 11th grade. So this is our PSAT reading data for 8, 9, and 10, which is very strong and really great to see, especially at those grade levels. Sometimes you see quite a dramatic drop off in just kind of investment in test taking for one, but those scores tend to move a little bit in the downward direction as you move into those upper grades. So it's really nice to see these staying stronger. Again, adding in the ISD for this data, our reading, PSAT and SAT data remains strong. The state and the ISD, as you'll see, are also quite strong in across these assessments. Moving to PSAT math, we do not see as strong of data here, particularly as we get into 10th grade, we start to see a pretty significant drop. So one of the things we've really been digging into is kind of the why behind that, even including meeting with groups of students at the high school and talking to them about these scores and getting kind of their thoughts on some of the reasons behind the change in the data, where we see stronger scores at 7th or 8th grade, and then 9th, 10th, 11th, we see this significant drop. So really trying to get student voice into that conversation as well. This is the math comparison for PSAT and SAT, again, including ISD and the state. As you can see, the difference in ELA performance and math performance is dramatically different, but in all places, again, not just Cal, but also we see the reduction at the ISD and the state. So looking ahead, we're really making intentional efforts to address those decreasing proficiency rates, especially at the higher grade levels. And then that bucket of students that are not yet meeting proficiency. So how do we bridge those gaps, and then also look at how do we take students that are at or above and provide additional opportunities for those students to be successful as well. So a continued focus on building relationships. We all know we learn better from people that we have strong positive relationships with. So really keeping that CKH as a foundation. We're working on our professional learning communities and really building that out, and working through how we can add time into our day for that to actually happen intentionally as we look to next year and beyond. And then strengthening our Tier 1 instruction and the work that happens day to day in our classrooms. And finally, strengthening that Tier 2 and 3 intervention, so students that might need just a little bit of additional support, as well as students that might need more significant intervention support. And that is all through Gen Ed, and then looking, of course, to students who might need support through specialized instruction and special education. Questions?
Go ahead, Tim.
So you mentioned in that last slide that the data is applied to a score improvement plan with those 4 categories. I don't know if we can go back a slide.
These here?
Is this where we're looking at the data and we're applying what the data is telling us into an improvement plan to increase scores?
So part of it is our broader MyKIP, the Michigan Continuous Improvement Plan, that is a district-wide plan through the state. And then we also, of course, have our strategic plan. And so these goals are embedded in both of those plans moving forward.
Okay, so we do have a plan to address the areas where our scores need to improve.
Yes, we do.
Cause I noticed with iReady, the proficiency is high when you get to kindergarten, but we go down to like 50-some% when we're in 7th grade. Is that being addressed?
Yes, all of it, everywhere where we're missing the mark, which of course you'd love to say 100% of students will be proficient. I don't know that in my lifetime, we're gonna see 100% of our students proficient in every grade, but that certainly is the work that we're doing, is where are we missing, where are we missing that connection? Where is the hole in our resources, in our instruction, in our interventions? We've added some specific intervention supports at Craft and at the high school this year that were not previously in place. So we're continuing to look at where we can add additional supports and then work to move students forward.
Okay, has there been any teacher feedback on iReady? We've been using it for quite some time, but are the teachers providing any feedback that might be helpful to addressing improvement in scores with our kids?
So since I have been here, I have not done a specific iReady survey or gathered specific data from teachers around iReady. What I have heard just through word of mouth is that teachers really like the iReady tools and the MyPath intervention supports that come along with it. When we adopted Ready Math and the assessment and resulting then MyPath supports back in 2020, 2021, we did not adopt the Ready ELA curriculum. But last year we added in the iReady benchmark and ELA and the MyPath intervention supports. So that is something that we are in year 2 of implementation to support in ELA. We use different curriculums, we have CKLA and My Perspectives in K-8, but we are using the iReady benchmark and MyPath additional resources. So we're looking to watch and monitor how those are also impacting student scores.
Great. And I do wanna thank you for providing the scores of similar districts.
You're
both
welcome.
in size and in the area, so it's helpful in getting perspective as to how we compare with our peers in similar areas.
Anybody else? We know this is no small task, and this is not anything, the ships don't turn around fast on any of this stuff, so we appreciate the work that goes into this, and I'm sure our kindergarten parapros out there would, love to move themselves up and continue, so. But no, it's great work, so thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Filter first.
Yeah, just a few other items to update you on. The Filter First program, this is legislation that came down within the last couple of years, and so we are in the process of implementing, and the big update for you all is that the state just within the last few weeks has awarded $50 million in grants that came through federal money that ended up at the state level, and so Mr. Hess put in for a lot of stuff to be utilized in us meeting all the requirements of this program. And so we were awarded over $380,000 from that, and just for context, that in our entire side of the state, that's basically the 5th highest amount. And there's only 25 statewide that got more than that. So just appreciate Mr. Hess's work putting that together, and they have a lot of work that will be ahead of them as all of our sources of water in the district will need to be labeled, and filters for everything that is water that could end up being drinking, and maybe I was, so.
When have you been drunken?
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, just wanted to update the board on that. And then another update for you is that our finance department has been working very, very hard revamping the entire computer software that we utilize for all of our financial stuff, and that is a massive, massive lift. We've been on the same system for a long time at this point, and that system was made end of life, and not all that long ago they announced that, and so it has been a real heavy lift, and just wanna thank Sarah and her entire team. 3 of them were here last week, like till 9 o'clock every night, trying to get everything together, and they still have a ways to go, but they are making it happen, and it's been a huge task. And then beyond that, just hope you've had an opportunity to see some of the great stuff going on, and we got a lot of concerts and programs and other things that have been going on, and our winter sports season is in high gear now, so it's been fun to see, and I also think though at the same time, everybody's gonna be ready for a nice break. So a few more days from now, and we'll be able to rest up for the next stretch, so that's it for my report.
We're gonna move forward to 9, our action items. 9A is bond 2020 Caledonia Elementary remodel.
I move that the board approve the Chrisman Company to initiate contracts for renovation in Caledonia Elementary School from the 2020 bond funds for the following bid categories and amounts. Work category 21, walls and ceilings from Shepherd's Brothers Company, $136,139. Work category 22, flooring, Ridisma Associates, $249,695. Work category 24, painting, Eckhoff and DeVries, $78,995. Work category 28, electrical, Excel Electric, $208,880.
Can I have a second?
Support.
Thank you, Tim. Any further questions on this? Can I please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia, yes. Sadoo,
Yes.
Brando,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. I'll take a quick pause for those who have not been to board meetings before. The action items are items that we have talked about on multiple occasions. They have been at committee meetings. This is not the first time we're seeing it. So if you've never been here before and you're thinking, what are these people doing to have no questions and voting on it? That is just not the case. So they have been discussed. That is the difference between potential items that we talk about next month and our action items for this month, so. All right, we'll move on to 9B, bond 2020 transportation school bus covering.
I move that the board approve the Chrisman Company to initiate contracts for the construction of a school bus covering structure from the 2020 bond funds for the following bid categories and amounts. Work category 2, site work, Felting Contractors, Inc., $134,000. Work category 6, paving, Michigan Paving and Materials, $69,585. Work category 10, concrete, Choice Concrete Construction, $217,770. Work category 12, steel, Bennett Steel LLC, $384,640. Work category 14, roofing, Action Custom Roofing Inc., $99,260. Work category 20, general trades, D&D Building Inc., $25,115. Work category 24, painting, Blastech LLC, $31,825. Work category 28, electrical, Excel Electrical Inc., $280,400.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Any further questions on this?
Maybe just a comment for the community to know that as in the Caledonia Elementary remodel, the transportation school bus covering, we received better bids than we expected, so we're able to do more extensive work on the transportation bus covering than we had thought, so more for the money, that doesn't happen very often.
It certainly hasn't happened recently, so this was very exciting to see this be able to be completed in full, so that is a great thing, so big sigh of relief over there, isn't there? All right, can I have roll call, please?
Brando,
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes. Morris,
Yes.
Sadoo,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. 9C is bond 2020 Community Resource Center furnishings.
I move that the board approve the purchase of office furnishings and installation for the Community Resource Center from Custer Office Furniture at a total of $35,318.49.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions on this? All right, roll call, please.
Morris,
Yes.
Brando,
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes, Sadoo,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. 9D is 2024-25 budget amendments.
I move that the board adopt the proposed 2024-2025 budget amendment resolution.
Have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, John. Any questions on this?
I think,
Were
we'll
you gonna-
invite,
Gonna go through it? Okay.
Ms. DeVries to go through a few things on that.
Yes, just a quick overview. I know we talked about this at our committee meeting, but looking to bring another proposed amended budget to the board tonight to update some things. So we're gonna look at what some of the key revenue swings are. So just a refresh, we adopted our initial budget in June, and at that time, that was before the state had their adopted budget. We were anticipating flat enrollment, and we had included a $241 per pupil increase that was based from the governor's budget proposal. So at the end of June, after we adopted our budget, is when the state adopted its budget. And there were substantial changes, which typically we don't see such substantial changes. So we came back, also had done some other work on the budget. So we came back in August and amended the budget. That then included a 0 foundation per pupil increase. And instead, the state had provided a one-time increase through retirement reimbursements. So we included estimates of what that would look like in the August amended budget. So now, looking at this amended budget, we now know our fall student count, so that is a 19 FTE increase. We also then have received our state aid status reports, and so we have a better idea what our state allocation will be for retirement reimbursement, so we were able to update that. And another revenue swing is at the original budgets had estimated our Special Education Act 18 millage, so needed to readjust that to what we're projected to receive this year. Another area, again, in the retirement system. So as you know, over the last several years, we have a requirement to run, they call it 147C, that's the category where districts are required to funnel through its books the accrued unfunded liability obligations, and so we have to pay the state. And then the state reimburses us. So really it has a net 0 impact on our budget, however, it's a substantial amount. So it does impact our totals when you're looking at total revenues and total expense. So in the 23-24 fiscal year, that amount was $6.2 million that was running through our books. For the 24-25 fiscal year, that amount, the budget the state's budget is decreasing what that flow through looks like this year. And so now it's $3.3 million. So that's a reduction of $2.8 million, both on the revenue side and on the expenditure side. This year, they also are implementing a one-time pass-through, separate line item, still for the accrued unfunded liability. And for Caledonia, that is $761,000 of an increase, so that is also both on the expense and the revenue side. So the net impact of that is roughly $2.1 million decrease, both on the revenue and on the expenditure. I know it gets wonky, but the numbers are quite large, so it plays an impact, so I thought it was important to note. So overall, this is just a summary. First column is our audited numbers from fiscal year 24. The second column is the adopted budget from June for this fiscal year 25. The middle column was our amended budget in August. And then the fourth column is the totals that you're looking at tonight for our December proposed amendments. So with that, we're looking at revenues ending at $70.7 million, expenditures of $72 million, for a 1.3 deficit pulling from fund balance. And then our estimated ending fund balance would be $10.7 million or 14.9% of expenditures. And that last column is comparing our August amended budget to this December proposed amended budget. So our revenue's looking to increase by 431,000. Expenditures are pretty much flat, they're decreasing by about 19,000. So the overall net impact is saving us a reduction in the deficit of 450,000. So are there any questions?
Questions from board members?
I'll say yes here in a second, and then I'm gonna run.
Okay, alright. Alright, no, I think we're good. Thank you. Alright, can I please have roll call?
Brando,
Yes.
Lawrence.
Yes.
Sadu,
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes, White.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you again, Sarah. Alright, we're going to move to 9E, which is authorization to issue 2025 school building and site series 2 and refunding bonds. We did talk about these separately, but please make note that they are together in the motion. Okay.
Alright. Looks like we lost our reader. Recommended motion, I move the board adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of the 2025 school building and site bonds, Series 2 general obligation, unlimited tax, and authorizing the refunding of the 2014 bonds in according to the terms of the resolution.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Support.
Thank you, John. Are there any further questions on this?
Well, let me just provide just a brief bit of context. So, as we've talked about for a couple of times here now, we have two sets of bonds that we're talking about here. And one set being the final issuance of bonds that are tied to the 2023 bond approval by the voters. And then the second part of these is refinancing the bonds that were sold in 2014. So they've now reached a point at which they can be resold. So in so doing, you hope to bring down that interest rate and save our taxpayers a significant amount of money. So the way that this is set up is that it will save us a lot of money if we're able to do those two sales together from all the other associated things that go on with that. So that's why it is one resolution for both things. But as you will note in that resolution, they talk about each of the two different sets of bonds separately. And again, as we've discussed, if we do not realize a savings of 1.5% on our refunding, we will not be moving forward with that, and that is incorporated in the resolution.
Any additional questions?
When will we have an idea if, I know this is performed in May, I'm looking at Sarah, but
You wanna give the kind of sequence of what happens?
Yeah, so we'll get together, our preliminary official statement has a lot of the data around the district. We need to have our then bond rating call that happens. These things will be happening between January and March and April. So at that time, before the actual sale itself, it's gonna probably be within the pricing to see where the market is that day for pricing. So it will go out if we can't realize the savings at that point. And the pricing is scheduled for end of April, May.
Right around the 1st of May. So our financial advisors are watching the markets through the time, and of course, by that point, they will have our updated bond rating, which we hope will still be very strong. And so they'll be seeing where bonds from similarly rated issuances are going from a percentage rate, and so that's where they can they can advise us at that point about which direction to go.
Anything further?
Only that after this, if this passes, we won't need any additional action on this before that, right?
You will not before the bond pricing is done, and then the way that this process will work is we will be back to you in May with the actual confirmation of that sale. So that's the way it kind of works. It goes out for pricing, investors say, yes, we will have X number of your bonds, and then we come back to you and you approve that ultimate sale. So this is just authorizing us to go into this whole process.
Thank you.
Can we have a roll call, please?
Barbara Garcia, yes. Sadhu, Brando,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries.
On to 9.
Okay.
I know,
Item
Neola policy
Neola
revision.
policy, second reading adoption recommendation. In motion, I move that the board conduct a second reading and adopt immediately the following policies. 10151, organizational meeting, 1130, conflict of interest, 3110, conflict of interest, 3120.08, employment of personnel and co-extracurricular activities, 4110, conflict of interest, 5136, personal communication devices, 5340, student accidents, 5500, student conduct, 6110, grant funds, uniform grant guidance, 6111, internal controls, 6112, cash management of grants, 6114, cost principles, spending federal funds, 6325, procurement, federal grants and funds, 6550, travel payment and reimbursement, 7310, disposition of surplus property, 7440.03, small unmanned aircraft systems, 7450, property inventory, 7530.02, staff use of personal communication devices, 8321, criminal justice information security, 8760, to delete student accident insurance, 9111, to delete telephone communications. That's all.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any updates you need to give on these?
I don't think so. We've talked about them a few times.
We have, so any questions on them? No? Can I please have roll call?
Morris,
Yes.
Brando,
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes. White.
Yes, motion carries. At this time, we are going to move to 10, which are our discussion items. These are things that will be anticipated for board consideration as of our January 27th meeting. So we have the strategic plan action steps.
So just a brief update for you on that, and we're certainly open to any comments you want to make now. We also will return to these as we move forward and continue to revise them based on input that we receive, and then they'll continue to be our framework. We adopted that overall strategic plan, and then these are the pieces underneath that now that are gonna be our steps to take.
Was there any feedback to be given based on the initial, you've got something?
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to, not easy, but we have a system in place on how we can track student achievement. So I think that's probably the easiest one out of all of these. But the others they encompass so much, maybe it would be best to ask staff for their recommendation on how these would be evaluated, knowing the inner workings, knowing the information you're compiling, and then present that to the board for consideration on evaluating or benchmarking the strategic plan items.
A lot of work has certainly gone into this, and so there's obviously more work to be done. This is obviously a living document as well, or certainly should be looked at that way, as there's nothing that becomes set in stone, right? Things can always be updated, continued to work on throughout the process. So again, it was a huge undertaking to get to this point, and I think that certainly the steps that are written down are absolutely in the right direction and going the right way, combining the categories that we're looking at. So certainly additional feedback, and certainly as board members, if you continue to read through it, if there's things that come to mind certainly share those, don't sit on them, because the more information you can give and the sooner that happens is more beneficial for the administrative team. John, did you have anything to share from your, okay, all right, Brittany?
Yeah, just one thought, one of the things that would be, I really like the overall vision, and I like where a lot of the kind of individual goals are. I would love to see if we could, for each of the individual kind of goals underneath the larger buckets, like what are the indicators, right? It would be really helpful to see kind of what are we gonna be using to determine if we've met that individual goal. I'm sure that there are lots of ideas about those things, so it would just be great to kind of hear from the rest of the cabinet members, how are they planning to evaluate, if they've met that goal.
Sounds good. We will keep, we'll keep working on it. This was just the first draft of these, just to start getting your eyes on them, and so it's good ideas. We'll keep working.
Alright. Anything under other items?
Not at this time, no.
The other
Maybe a
items
short
is always
item.
a sneaky thing, you just never know what might pop up under there, so.
Yeah, short one in January.
Yeah, absolutely. So any board comments?
Just regarding, we had talked at committee about House Bill 6058. There's a lot going on this week. I don't know if we've heard anything as of today as to where that sits, or?
Yeah, both the Senate and the House have passed similar versions, each in their own chamber, and they've crossed to go the other direction. So it's not been a ton different than what we discussed last week at our committee meeting. We're watching it very closely. It would represent a significant impact on the budget if it's passed as it currently is written. So we have to be very careful moving forward, and there's also talk, would there be some sort of supplemental budget to help cushion the cost from the state, some additional money coming down, so.
Hopefully they're aware of the impact on districts when it comes to the health benefits premium, and I know probably Friday we'll know a lot more.
Yeah, that's gonna be this week, and then currently there are no session days scheduled for after Friday, but they did add a session day last Friday, so they can always do that. We'll see how this transpires, so.
Thank you.
Nobody loves government stuff more than Mr. Whale-Dryer. I think he spends a lot of time on this one side, so we appreciate all of that, so.
Old government teacher.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Pity the kids who had me.
Any other board comments?
Well, I just wanted to point out to the board, at this point, we have no committee meetings scheduled for January. We've already shifted that meeting back to the 27th of January. And it would be a little awkward to have a committee meeting, given the fact we won't have had our organizational meeting before that, and it would be a meeting of 7 board members without who's running this thing. So unless directed differently, at this point, we were not anticipating a committee meeting for January, but I kind of need to hear if you're thinking differently than that, because that's the way, at this point, I was thinking we would be proceeding, so.
I think that's reasonable, given the factors you mentioned, and if we can just stay, I know you're awesome about the weekly memos, but anything that you would want us to be able to anticipate that we're not already anticipating for the January meeting, in a weekly memo would be great.
Yeah, I'm okay with putting a hiatus on the committee in January.
Yeah, and as you can see, right now, we are not anticipating a ton of things. There will be some things that we're anticipating for first reading in January, but at this point, we do not have a lengthy agenda planned for you for now, so.
You good, John? Okay. If you decide you want an extra meeting, you let us know. All right, so we are good with all of that. Again, thank you to all of you for being here, for the time. We appreciate it. We are going to go into closed session. This is one of the times when we go into closed session that we do anticipate an action item afterwards. You are certainly more than welcome to stay in this room. We will come back to here for any action item after our closed session. You certainly do not have to stay. That information will obviously be posted, it will be out there with our regular meeting stuff as well. But why don't we go ahead and take maybe just a few minute recess for board members before we come back up and vote to go into closed session. All right, thank you. Great, we just need a motion to go into closed session.
I move,
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
You're good. Oh, okay. I mean, you can stay, but you are welcome to leave, but we are going to leave the room.
Okay.
Okay, that's whatever you want to do, you are good with.
We didn't know what to do.
I move the board meet in closed session per Michigan compiled laws 15.268D for the superintendent's evaluation at the request of the superintendent.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Can I please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia, yes. Brando,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carried. So we can go into closed session, we can discuss this, but we cannot make any decisions in closed session, so we will come back out of closed session, do the same voting thing to come out of closed session, and then if all goes well, we will have a motion for the superintendent evaluation going forward, so that's what will happen afterwards. But you are welcome to stay or leave, whichever you want to do. Thank you. Merry Christmas if you're not here, thank you.
How are you?
We need a motion to come out of closed session, please.
Make the motion, we come out of closed session.
I'll
Thank-
second that.
Thank you. Can I please have roll call?
Barbara Garcia, yes. Brando,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carried. On to 13, which is our anticipated action item. Superintendent evaluation rating.
I move that the board accept the superintendent rating of effective.
Support.
This is for the superintendent 2024 evaluation. Support, thank you. What's that? Right, can we please have roll call?
Morris,
Yes.
Brando,
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes. White.
Yes, motion carries. Congratulations and thank you very much. They will all look forward to, we as a district look forward to you staying with us next year. So I just need a motion to adjourn.
I move.
Second, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you everyone.